Yeah, so that first flip, our team as a whole, we lost about 120,000.
Yeah, man.
And
Maybe a special guest, Wyatt Ma'a. He started investing in real estate just 1 year ago, and since then he's acquired 15 rentals. He has a small fleet of 7 cars that he Turos, and he's currently working on a $4 million luxury flip here in Hawaii. Welcome to the show, buddy.
oh, thanks for having me. It's an honor, honestly.
It's crazy. Like, we met, I think, honestly, like about a year and a half ago at Ryan Pineda's event in Vegas. And you were like brand new at that time, right? Like no real estate investing experience. Do you remember that?
Yeah, no, honestly, I was super intimidated just going into a room like that, being surrounded like people like that, just knowing what people are doing in the in real estate. And after that, I was just mind blown. Honestly, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I need to grind even more. Like, I remember we were driving to a ramen place, and you're in the car just like giving me tips in here and there. So it's like that was an unreal experience for me, and it definitely drove a lot of drive for me at that moment in time.
It's crazy because, like, I mean, I meet a lot of new investors like at these events and stuff, and so like some of them, like, I'll give them the same advice. I was like, hey, here's what you need to do to start, and like 99% of them, like, I never see them again, or like I'll see them for 6 months and then like they'll fizzle out. But you're one of the guys where, like, I remember that ride to, like, we were hanging out with Ramen. I think Keone was in there too, right? So a few other guys, and then we were just chatting like brand new investors, you know, and then like looking at your story like a year later now, I mean, like, you've crushed it in the last like year and a half, like way more than I did in my first year. And so it's so impressive to kind of see your journey or this year and a half. So what kind of prompted you to actually get started in real estate investing?
So I actually wanted to own rental properties at a very, very young age, probably like 10 to 12, because my grandpa actually owned the properties. I didn't really know what he was doing. He was very, very quiet with the family. But he has a property up in Maui, and it was a single family residence with a detached cottage. And he didn't tell anybody, but the way he had it, he pretty much demised the single family into 3 units. So this one parcel had 4 units, and from afar, I was like, wow, that was genius. And this was like way before my time.
1950s.
Yeah, I was like, how do you think about doing that in a sense where he owns the property and he's collecting income? So that sparked in my mind, like, oh, I'm gonna do something in real estate. So when I was in high school, middle school, I wanted to be an architect because I was actually wanting to design houses, design like rental properties of my own. So I went in that direction. I ended up being a mathematics major, which total flip. Cool. So, and then I became an engineer, and that's kind of how I started. I thought I had needed all of these other prerequisites to become a real estate investor when I could have just dove head first.
Straight into real estate investing. Yeah. Amazing. So, take us back a little bit. What were you doing before real estate, and what was like kind of caveat to kind of get you started in real estate investing?
Yeah, actually, so before I started getting into investing, I was a real estate appraiser. I was a real estate appraiser for about a year and a half under working under someone. So just learning the trade, learning the ins and outs, and that kind of benefited greatly in the sense of I know how to put a value to a dollar amount to things that add value. And before I was an appraiser, actually, I was an engineer. A lot of real estate investors get started in engineering.
This is the mindset of just like logical and like what A plus B, right?
So I was an engineer, and I didn't even last. I think I was there for 6 months. And I was just over it. I didn't even give my 2 weeks. I just I was out. I was over it. And then for like 1-2 months, I was just kind of wondering what I was doing. And then one of my friends got me connected with a real estate appraiser. And that's where I got to learn everything that had to do with real estate appraising, and started to transition full time into real estate investing.
One of the biggest things I think as a real estate investor is figuring out what they call the ARVs, or the after repair value. And that's so important because it's like what you can sell the house or like refinance the house for after you finish like the renovations, right? And so the one biggest mistake I always see with investors is getting the ARVs wrong. And so like you kind of have like a small advantage where your whole job before that was appraising houses. So like it really translates well into like actually like understanding the value of a house and how much they're going to be worth after.
Yeah, no, that was super good information for me to have, just knowing and understanding how to get an ARV. Because at the end of the day, every investor would probably know that the ARV is probably the most important thing in a deal that can kill you or make you money. So just understanding what goes into that and how to formulate an ARV based on the things around that certain property, that's benefit me tremendously.
Awesome. So I mean, like, you're an appraiser, and then was it the event that kind of like made you like switch to decide you want to become a real estate investor? How did that transition happen?
So, as I was going to the event, I was saying that I was a real estate appraiser. And then once I went to the event, I kind of like, oh, I want my first deal. I don't know what it's going to be, but I just want to get my hands dirty a little bit.
Okay.
So I believe that event was in January, and I closed on my first flip in early April.
Okay.
So
it was a quick 4 months. Like, you got inspired at the event. It was the real estate conference. It was Ryan Pineda's event, right?
Yeah, Ryan Pineda.
And like we hung out a little bit. You got to hear some amazing speakers, some other like big time investors that got to share their stories, and then you were inspired to start looking for your first deal in Hawaii.
Right.
And then in April, you closed on your very first deal.
Yeah, so April, it moved really fast. I mean, I was still doing appraising at the time.
Okay.
So I want to say going into the summer of that year, I kind of started getting more focused on the flip, because I was actually doing a lot of it. I was doing some of the trades.
So you have a little bit of construction background or something? Or
no. I mean, I just kind of wanted to get my hands dirty. I wanted to learn the trades. I wanted to learn about electrical, plumbing,
so
all that sort.
University, how would you learn all this stuff?
Trial and error. Honestly, I'm like, oh, that doesn't work. Okay, we'll do this, or that works. Let's do that thing. So that. I wanted to do that personally, just because moving forward, if I did know or had an understanding of the trades, I know that I could transition that into future projects and kind of have a better understanding when people give me bids or when contractors are talking to me. So I took that very to heart, because I told my appraising boss at the time that I'm getting busy with the flips. I don't know if I can fully commit to this, and he was more than willing to help me out and just kind of go our different separate paths in that aspect of things.
Very cool. I mean, I really like that advice of just kind of like getting your hands dirty when you first started. I did the same thing, and like the actually doing the trades like helps you understand like what it goes into it, how much it should cost, and like how hard or difficult different things are. So like, number one, you can make sure you're not getting ripped off by your contractors. But number two, you can also appreciate the work they do, because like, man, like drywall and like standing these things, like, it's a pain, man. Or like these small things.
It was hard work. I give them so many props, especially laying out flooring, doing the electrical, doing the plumbing. It's a lot of work. And prior to that, I did have like project management experience in the engineering world. So I got to test those abilities as well.
Okay. So first year, 4 months in, you bought your first flip. Tell us like how that first flip went.
So it was going into it. We thought it was going to be a quick, light rehab, but you know how that always turns out.
I've been there so many times before.
As we kind of work with, we'll save money and do the work ourselves. But there's just shortcuts that you can't really take, and it's gonna hurt in the long run. But at that time, once we finished the flip, that's when the whole market as a whole dramatically changed.
Was that like during what year? So this was 2022. At the end of 2022.
Yeah, and I believe towards the end of that summer is when the market kind of started really getting crazy. I think almost 3 to 4% in interest rates just spiked up, and we're like, oh, like, what are we gonna do? The
market was like, it was like rising, and that time it was the first time it was kind of going down, right? In that summer.
So we kind of got a little shifty, trying to figure out what we can do in that sort of thing. So we ended up docking about almost 100,000 on the price, and we definitely felt that once we kind of finished that flip.
So what was like the profit or loss for that first flip?
Yeah, so that first flip, our team as a whole, we lost about 120,000.
Yeah, man.
And
it's hard cracks for your first flip. So your first flip, you lost $120,000. And so what was going through your head like during the times?
I mean, it was good to go through that process, because now I understand, like, I did the trades, I did the project management, I ran the numbers, I did the analysis, I went through escrow. So it was a big lesson, a costly lesson, but I think it was worth it, because now I understand, and I'm well versed in that area where I can take those things that I've learned and transition into the next deal, the next deal. So
ton of learning, ton of education. Number one is like just like going through the trades and like the whole renovation process. Probably part you learn on the buying process, the sales side. Like there's that first deal, you learn so much on like the whole, like from A to Z. And the fact that you're doing it like yourself versus like just jumping on or as a private money lender or like another, you're actually in the thick of it, doing it from A to Z yourself, right? And
no, because raise the money for that project. I was working the project management, like working with the draws, understanding that process, how to work with the lenders, the pictures, all that sort. So I learned a ton from that one project. Even though it was a loss, it's still a win in a way.
In the long run, right? So I mean, the short term is going to be sore.
Yeah.
But then if you can take that skill sets you learned during that time, apply it over the next 10, 15, 20 years, now like they'll be like, you'll hopefully more than make that back.
Yeah, hopefully it was an exponential risk in the long run.
But so like if you had to kind of go back and do that one again, what do you think like you would do differently?
I think it was just a matter of timing, honestly. Like everything was done right. The price, I think we're priced pretty well. There's still activity. It's just that price of interest rates with that price of home. It just defines a lot of opportunity for that that type of family. That can't really afford that.
What did you guys end up selling it for at the very end?
We sold it for about $870.
So if you're listing normally like 100,000 over that, like 970. So like 970 to 870, in the percentage wise, it's only 10%. But from like a number standpoint, that's $100,000 then, right? So
yeah, because people aren't qualifying for that high amount when interest rates are spiking. So it was just I think it was just the timing of the market that kind of got the best of us, because it was a solid property. I mean, it was actually one of the largest lot sizes within lower Makahilo. And it was able to have ADU, had all that type of zoning purposes. So it's just the timing of the market. So I mean, like on that note, you have like another deal coming up where it looks like, from what I've heard from like the grapevine, is you might net maybe like close to $500,000 or something on this guy. So yeah, that's the goal. I mean, we listed it about a month ago. And activity has been off, like on fire. It's just a matter of picking and choosing of who is right for the property. We went into escrow twice. It's just some things didn't work out with the lending, or they didn't like something with the property. So we're priced pretty right. It's just a matter of finding that right type of family for this house, because there's not that much of a buy pool for this type of property in the vicinity of that price point. So it's just being patient with it.
So this is a luxury flip, and then like I seen what you guys did. You guys did an excellent job from that.
Thank you.
And then like I mean, it looks like it's priced right, and like you'll have another buyer in a short while. But like, what's like what lessons did you apply from that first deal like to the second one?
Definitely the project management skills, being on top of the contractor, knowing what materials are what. Like not that many people like know what different materials are. Like, oh, the contractor said go get this. Like, I have no idea what this is. Can you send a Home Depot?
What do you mean by that? Like what's an example?
Just like flooring, like what kind of flooring you need, or just things for like the plumbing, like pipes or trim. Like I need pictures. I need the IO and bay. Just learning that, and then just also learning the difference between materials of $1 million entry-level home in Hawaii versus a multi-million-dollar flip, and seeing how those materials differentiate.
That's a big education moment where like I'm glad that you guys like knew that when you're going into this luxury flip, because the expectation of a buyer from a luxury flip is way different than like an entry-level home buyer, right? And like the level of detail, the level of like finishing, and also materials is a big difference on what they expect over here versus what they expect over here.
It's definitely a different market in a sense. And we knew that going in. We knew interest rates might not play a huge part, just like an entry-level home does, because we knew if someone wants to go in that home, they're coming in all cash. If we afford that type of house. So we knew it's going to be its own little market, own little luxury market.
Amazing. So in your first year, you've obtained over 15 rental properties, which is crazy to me. I mean, especially like being in Hawaii, like, you know, so how have you done it? What was that process like?
So I actually joined the mentorship that solely focuses on Burrs and out-of-state rentals, that focuses on the Kansas City market. And that's where I kind of found myself the path of, I'm going to do Burrs out in Kansas City.
Did you have a whole lot of money when you, cause like, so you're working as an appraiser, did you have like a whole lot of money saved up during that time? How did that?
No, I mean, not really. I only worked the W-2 for 6 months, and I was in college before that. So I didn't really have that much money saved up. It's just a matter of how can I afford this, where the private money lenders kind of takes into place.
So did your parents give you a big chunk of change or anything, or was this?
No, not at all. I mean, shoot, I still live with my parents. I've been fortunate and blessed for them to kind of take me in after college. And I'm so fortunate for that. but it just has allowed me to grind. It has allowed me to hustle, allowed me to take risks more. Where I'm in a situation where if something goes wrong, I can always fall back.
Your expenses are very low. And I think that's a really good like lesson is like, I think a lot of guys, as soon as they have like their first deal, like let's move up to like the mansion and buy a nice car. But like if you live frugally, like when the times are bad, then you can like stomach like the different kinds of like losses or like when you're not making as much money, right? So like it's and just like growing your portfolio as you're like you have 15 rental portfolio, 50 rental properties, but you didn't buy your primary house yet, right? And so I was exactly the same way where you start picking up rentals, especially out of state, and then like you're saving money on the primary because live at home with your parents and save money to build more passive income and build your rental portfolio, right?
Yeah, no, that's the goal. I mean, moving forward, we want to have that passive income for my rentals from our Turo business to when we do have a primary home to cover that, so it's not really like a stressful situation for us, for my girlfriend and I. So that's what we're kind of pushing forward. I know a lot of people say do the flips first and then the rentals will come after, but I'm kind of taking that approach in a different way where I'm getting the rentals first and then doing flips here and there.
It's funny. We have a similar story. When I first started, I was only all about rentals because I read Bigger Pockets. I was like the forums and the podcast, and they're all about the Burr strategy. So I had no money when I started, just doing all the burrs to begin with. And it's only like later on that I started doing flipping. So it's same story as you, is just like focus on the cash flow and like the rental properties, and then let the flipping kind of augment or supplement what you're doing with the rental portfolio, right?
No, yeah, definitely. And I would say doing the flips, going through the whole process actually helps me be a better Burr investor because I know the process. It may be out of state, it may be from a distance, but I still know the A to Z of what makes a good quality product for that type of strategy.
So I mean, walk us through. So 15 rentals in 1 year, basically. To me, it's insane. I mean, like what was like, how did you get your first deal and what did that look like?
It was pretty much just connecting with the right people. I mean, I took maybe 1 to 2 months really learning the area,
the markets, like the neighborhoods, like this street is a good street, this street is not a good street.
Exactly. Like I really took the time, I took it seriously.
And how, I mean, like walk us like through that process. What does it mean to like learn the markets? Like we're talking to agents, or you're on Zillow? What are you?
For me, it was Zillow. And I have 2 monitors, so it was Zillow and Google Maps.
Okay, so you have them both on at the same time.
And I'll just go walk through the neighborhood and see like, oh, what's the difference between this 3-2 house versus this 3-2, or like this what zip code which is after one street. You know, it's like really dialing down the zip code and seeing and understanding what is a appreciating market and what is a cash flowing market, and just confirming that with your property manager, confirming that with your agent, and seeing like, oh, the research I'm actually doing is actually right.
It lines up. So like you're kind of like doing all the heavy lifting up front, and then after you come to some conclusions, you're verifying it with like the boots on the ground, which is your agents or your property managers. I think like that's a really good approach, because I think sometimes guys are like, they just go straight to the property manager or the agent, and it's kind of like the lazy approach because you want to do the work yourself. And so like the property managers and agents, they're like, they don't appreciate it because like they have to tell you everything. But if you already come in like with resource or actually researching it, now you're more informed and you can ask more intelligent questions and waste less of their time. So they don't have to explain everything to you. You're just like, hey, is this, I'm coming to this conclusion. Is this right? Right. And it's like, oh, actually, let's adjust it slightly because this and this is okay. And so I guess you get way more information and it's way more productive than just like, tell me everything about the area. Like, you know, so.
And then, no, I do that on like literally every deal. Like I'll do my own due diligence. I'll find what the rent, what I think the rent is, the comps in the area. I find the actual comps, and I give it to my agent, give it to my realtor, and be like, oh, I'm getting these as my comps. Here they are. I'm getting these for my rents. Like, what do you think? Am I in the right ballpark? And I think they like that a lot better than just, oh, like what's the ARV or what's the rent? Because it shows that you are putting in the work, that you're not just wasting your time, like you said.
I mean, it's like, it's win-win on both sides. I think being on the other side, a lot of people come to us and say like, hey, can you help me out with how to start flipping or how to start investing, right? And they do zero work on the back end. They just expect you to tell them everything, right? Versus someone like yourself is like, hey, I read these books. I come to these conclusions. Can you affirm that these are right or not? I'm like, actually, you know why? Like this, you're like 9% there. Let's tweak this. It's like, you're way more productive, and it's like way more of a better relationship to like want to help someone like yourself.
100%. Like, no, it's definitely a relationship back and forth. And it's like that phrase, trust but verify. And I really took that to heart when I was trying to figure out what works in the area that caters to my goals.
So I mean, like was the first deal like on the MLS? Was it from wholesaler? How did you find that first deal?
Yeah, so the first deal was actually I was on the market. I was on Zillow. It was a triplex that I kind of just found. I was like, I sent it, did my own due due diligence, and I sent it to my agent and said, I'm getting these numbers. Like, where can we be at? What is your opinion on the area? I know it's on a kind of a busy road. Like, what do you think? And he's like, oh yeah, no, it looks solid. I was like, shoot, let's just put an offer in.
Okay.
And
what was it listed for in Zillow at that time?
it was a triplex, and I was listed for 155, I believe.
Okay, 55.
Yeah. So
And what did you think you could rent out the 3 sides for?
so each one I was grossing about 2,000, 2,100
Total, it's like 700,
total.
700,
Yes.
700.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And it was going to be a hybrid Burr.
Okay.
But it was kind of funny as I finished one unit.
What's a hybrid Burr first?
Also, a hybrid Burr is pretty much a Burr, but you're collecting income from another unit in a way, so it kind of alleviates some holding costs throughout the rehab.
So Burr is a buy, rehab,
Yes.
rent, refinance, repeat. Basically, it's like you're flipping a house, and opposed to selling it on the back end, you're refinancing and keeping it for yourself.
Yeah, pretty much the way I think about Burr is like you're flipping the house to yourself.
Yeah, which is exactly what it is.
Yeah. So that it was a hybrid Burr at first. But
So normal Burr is you don't have income on the property, but a hybrid Burr means that you have some income on the property while you work on it. Okay.
Correct.
Got it.
So at the time when I was buying it, one of the units was vacant and two of the others was rented out.
Okay.
But it was kind of funny. It was like a domino effect. As I finished the vacant, the middle person moved out.
Okay.
As I finished that,
So
the
that's
last
like
person,
perfect timing for you then. As
yeah,
an
and it was like
investor.
not planned at all. They're just like, oh, we're out. I was like,
Yeah.
that's fine. So I was able to turnkey the whole or rehab the whole triplex, and it appraised
while
for
getting rent.
right,
the whole
yeah,
time,
while
right?
getting
So-
rent,
so like that.
and it ended up appraising for about 220.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So
So that was a solid first
it
deal
appraised
for
for
me.
220, and you put out 75% in a cash out refinance.
So I actually put out about 80% at the
Okay.
time. So I put out about 185.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
And back forward, but I bought this with private money.
Okay.
So I funded the whole purchase price and the rehab with private money.
Okay.
And the purchase
What is private money?
private money is pretty much friends and family that
Okay.
you know, like, and trust that are willing to help you out, but you're also willing to help them out and make some returns.
So like you give them a little bit of interest, and then they're
Yes.
lending you money for a short, determined period of time.
Yeah,
Like
basically like a
they're not.
term.
It's not a bank. They're not like an institution. It's just like mom and dad, uncle and auntie, or some friends that you know. And like
No,
a
yeah,
relationship
exactly.
with, so.
It's just word of mouth situations, referrals, whatever the case may be. So that's how we were able to fund the purchase price, and then the rehab was about, I want to say about 35, 40,000. So we're all into this deal about 190, 195.
Okay.
So we were able to take out 185 and kept like 10,000 into the deal.
Okay.
And right now it's stabilized and everything is probably cash flowing about 250 a door.
So like about $700 a month in like positive net cash
Yeah.
up on this one deal,
One deal.
which you bought for basically $10,000 out of your pocket. $10,000 and then some sweat equity, right? Like,
Right,
you found the deal, you manage the contractors and everything, but then like that, it's like a way where you start with zero money, but then you only have a little bit of money invested, but now you're going to cash flow for the rest of your life. The property's going to go up in value. You're going to get some tax savings and some loan pay down. So like it's a great way to kind of build generational wealth by like doing like more and more of these, right?
Yeah, no, and then from there I just caught the Burr bug, and I literally closed on that in August, and then I bought my next two in October.
Amazing. I mean, I that's what I love about the Burr strategy is it's such a great way to kind of build a rental portfolio,
Right.
especially when you don't have a lot of money to start with, right? So if you got a lot of money, you can just like, let's just buy these out with cash or like throw money at it. But when you don't have money to start with, you have to be creative and then like figure out a way to build your portfolio without money, which generates really well to when you do have money. Now you can still build a portfolio because you're still using the same skill set that you built when you didn't have money, right?
No, yeah, exactly. And I think that Burr process teaches you so many things within the real estate world, within the real estate transaction, even the construction side too. So it's a good strategy for people who are willing to do that.
In some ways, I think the Burr is like easier than flipping, but some ways it's harder. Because like a Burr is basically a flip that you're gonna keep on the back end, right? But like the Burr, you have some like margin where like if things go wrong, you can keep it as a cash flowing rental after anyway.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, like to do a complete Burr, you got to get really good deals, right? And it's like it's just like it teaches you like all the skills that you need for a flip, but it's like it's easier and harder in some ways and in other ways.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it's pretty similar. Like we said before, it's pretty much flipping the house to yourself. And it's just learning on the back end. Like once you do that refinance, like are you gonna be able to cash flow? Like what's your situation in that terms once you do put out the money? Because we definitely don't want to be negative cash flowing in that sense and just using people's money and then have negative mortgage or negative cash flow. So it's definitely running different scenarios, talking to different lenders, seeing what works on the back end side too.
So, I mean, after that first deal, you started slowly buying, you bought two more, like the next couple months after, kept like scaling. And I mean, now you're at 15 rentals, which is how many doors right now? So,
so that's 9 doors, 15 rentals.
Okay,
sorry.
9 doors.
Oh, no.
9 rentals, 15 doors. Okay. 9 doors, 15. Okay. So I love it. And so from there, was it like just, has it been smooth sailing? Was there any challenges like having the rental portfolio?
Not at all. I think that third deal, that I bought, one that I bought in October, I actually went through my first eviction on that one.
Okay.
So I learned right then and there what the eviction process is.
What happened? Was they just stopped paying rent or was
it was super crazy. I literally took over the property. It was already occupied. And that month they just stopped paying rent.
So they were paying rent all the way up to that point. When you bought it, then you decided like not to stop paying rent.
I verified about a year work of pay stubs from that tenant that they were confirming they're paying rent. And as soon as I took over, I don't know what it was.
You're like this guy out of state from Hawaii, he's not gonna like that.
They just stopped paying rent. And it took about it's crazy on this deal too. When the property manager went to go in and clean it up, they found 2 snakes.
Like live living snakes.
Yeah, living snakes. And I was like, what is going on? Like this house was like trash. So
wow.
Thankfully they paid a
security deposit.
Yeah, a security deposit up front. It was a double security deposit actually.
So. Why was were they like the previous landlord knew that they were like going to be a trouble tenant or something, or
I guess I'm not too sure about that, but that kind of helped me.
Snake meters or something.
Yeah, it alleviated some of the stress and the cost within that went into the eviction process. Yeah.
So like, what was like the eviction? So like you're living thousands of miles away. This is in Kansas City, and now you've got to evict this tenant who's not paying. What does that process look like for you?
It was honestly like pretty streamlined. I mean, the property manager took me from A to Z, and I didn't really have to do anything. It was pretty much just updates here and there, or like the tenant didn't show up to court, or the police is coming in removing his stuff. So it was just pretty much updates here and there. But I got to the sense like this is why I invest in Kansas City, because of that eviction process was so like miles compared to like what Hawaii has to go through. It's
very like fair, right? Where like if you're not paying rent, you get kicked out, right? Versus like in a state like Hawaii or maybe California is, if you don't pay rent, you can just stay for like another year basically, right? So
and the cost to remove them is probably 10-20x of what I had to pay for the Kansas City eviction.
Yeah, but it's also good to have a good property manager who understands the laws and who's able to do things like correctly and also like walk you through the process as an estate owner, right?
No, I was very fortunate to have a property manager like that to hop on the phone call miles away and kind of walk me through the process. We need this at this date, or if the tenant doesn't do this, then this happens. So just running different scenarios with me was a lot to take in, but it's so informational moving forward because now I've gone through it and I can just take on whatever
I feel like you're a lifelong learner, where like when you first started, you're like learning at the appraisal process, and like you took all that to like your investing journey, and like you're putting in the work to know the neighborhoods and to kind of like dive in. And like now that you probably learn a lot as a landlord, and now through the property managers, and like you're building this skill set that's going to last you for the rest of your life. And so like, it's really cool to see. I mean, like within a year, you learn all these things. Like, like if you were to talk to yourself like half a year ago, you'd be like a genius to like yourself like 1 year ago. Right. So
I will say that appraising trade was probably the most beneficial thing I've ever done, because I could translate that to any other market, and it's pretty much just like understanding and how to read an appraisal report too, and like what are they looking for exactly has helped me tremendously in how I look at deals, how I look at ARVs, or comparing different properties, different comps, on seeing what they did versus what do I need to do. So I mean, we were talking earlier, and you said you had like some Turo. You're doing some like Turo on the side. How did you get started with that, and what does that look like for you? So that was honestly probably about 2 years ago that we started.
Okay.
It took me about 2 to 3 months to convince my girlfriend to actually like just send it, like,
Okay.
because I couldn't afford a car at that time. I'm
Okay.
fresh out of college. I'm like, I think this is a good opportunity for us to earn some passive.
So just like an idea in your head, you see it on
Yeah.
YouTube. How'd you come up with it?
It was literally Jeremy Mateo's video. I'm like, I can do this.
That makes sense. Like you buy the car, you lease it, and then you rent it on like on a tour platform.
Yeah, so it took me 2 months, and then as we got our first car, it started working, started kicking things off.
What was the first car that you guys
It
bought?
was a 2019 Nissan Versa.
Okay.
So very grandma-ish
Okay.
economic car, but it worked. I mean, it's paid its dues already, and
What would you purchase it for?
we purchased it for 10,000.
Okay, was it on loan or did you do like
No,
cash?
we bought it up in cash. So me and my girlfriend split
And
that
then
5 each.
what did you rent it for?
So at that time, Turo was booming.
Okay.
So it was renting for maybe like $75 to $95 a day. It was
Okay, so
it was crazy.
And then what are you taking home every month from that?
I would say at that time maybe about 750 to 800.
Okay, okay.
But now it kind of slowed down.
Yeah,
Things
but
are
so in the first year, you almost make your money back.
Right.
Like
No, yeah,
after one year, you made back the 10,000 purchase price.
yeah.
And then so after that, there's just gravy after that, like
Yeah, so as we pay off one car, we buy a next car, and then it kind of trickles effect.
Wow, I love
Yeah.
it. Okay. So then like you started with the Nissan Versa, started slowly like scaling like so it's almost like a rental portfolio, right?
Yeah.
You're building
Right.
cash flow, but like the only downside is the car is depreciating in value over time versus the rental portfolio goes up in value over time, right?
Right.
But then like it's way easier to manage like a car than it is like a rental at the same time
Yeah.
too, right? And,
No, yeah.
and the only $10,000 versus like 100,000, 150,000, right? So
Yeah, exactly. And I think when we were first starting, like we were doing all the work, like the cleaning, the communication, and whatever it tells for a Turo business to work.
yeah, yeah.
But as we started this year, we kind of hired out a fleet manager. So now it's just passive income at this point,
Okay.
and just scaling the business or adding more cars
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
point. And that's been a blessing in disguise, because now I can focus more on the real estate stuff and just have that operate.
What
myself.
are you guys pulling in passively on the Turo business right now?
Probably about 600 per car.
Okay.
Net.
I mean, the cool thing is I see this pattern over and over is like when you first start, you have to do everything yourself because
Yeah.
number one, you probably don't have money to sub it out, right? And then also like you need to learn all different aspects of it and get it like up and running. But once you get the machine up and running, now you slowly start to buy back your time.
Right.
So like you rent out the things or you sell off the things I don't know, not sell or whatever. Like you buy back the things time that were
exactly.
like your time in it. And then now you can either like focus on other things, whether it's your family or whether it's like making more money or whatever it is. And it's a good pattern to start where like you do everything yourself, learn everything. And then over time, slowly start to buy your time back. And then now you can expand to do bigger and better, right?
Yeah, no, easily. That was pretty much spot on. And we were able to, with how it was growing, we were able to pretty much pay off all the cars.
Yeah, yeah.
So all cars are paid off, and
Amazing.
And it's like in my head, I was like, oh, a fleet manager is pretty much like a loan. So I don't see what the
was
the
there
negative.
like a property manager, right?
Yeah, it's literally a property manager, but it's a fleet manager.
Yeah.
So they pretty much take care of everything. I don't do anything now.
How much time do you think that saves you every like a week
I want to say maybe
or a month?
10 to 12 hours a week.
Okay, so 10 to 12 hours you're buying back, right?
Yeah.
But then this allows you to put it more towards like either real estate investing or spending time with your girlfriend or whatever it is. And I think that's like what's really attractive to just as an entrepreneur or as a real estate investor is the ability to like make enough money where you can buy back your time and still have like passive income rolling in, right?
Exactly. No, it was definitely the right move at the time.
It's amazing. So I mean, like, where do you think you're going to scale that more, or what are your thoughts on the tool side?
Right now we're just scaling it as we can. We're not really forcefully scaling it, but scaling it as the business grows on its own. So it's more of like a side hustle, passive income type of deal. Because at the end of the day, we want that side hustle to cover our mortgage when we do get a primary home within the near future, hopefully. So that's kind of our mindset with that.
And then like, so what does like a typical day look like for you? So you own like a bunch of Turos, you own a bunch of rentals, you got some flipping you're doing. And I think we talked earlier, you do some commercial property. I mean, you got a whole bunch of like stuff that's going on in your life. What does like a typical day look like for you?
So because of the time difference and because of my market is mainly Kansas City, I usually take calls in the morning about 6 to 8 a.m.
Okay.
And then that's when I do my calls, my emails, whatever it is, communication wise.
Okay.
And then I go do a lift for maybe 1 to 2 hours, come back, and then just dialing down on the residential or commercial side of just analyzing deals. And then every once in a while, I'll just like any person, I'll play games, play video games. I have my two monitors as well, where I have like playing video games on one of them, and then just like analyzing deals or looking at properties.
I love it. So I mean, so you work a little bit in the beginning of the day because of your market, do some lifting, some working out, exercise, and then you come back in your video games on one monitor and analyze deals on another.
Yeah, and then pretty much I go for a run or I do some kind of cardio in the afternoon, come back, and then I either watch like YouTube or podcasts, and then back to the games and then analyzing.
What games do you play?
I like to play like Call of Duty a lot, then Fortnite.
Nice.
So it's still getting those reps in.
I mean, I really love like the work-life balance, you know, so like the cool thing is like, it's only been a year. You've come such a long way. 15 rentals, 2 flips, 1 luxury flip. You're doing like a Turo fleet. You got you got a whole bunch of things that are going on, but you're able to fit it in like from like a morning calls and playing video games while like multitasking, you know, like, and work out and stay in shape too. Like, I think that's like a hard thing for like most guys to like to achieve or to ever get to. I mean, what advice would you get to somebody who's like trying to do the same thing?
I think definitely trying to prioritize of what's important in your life. Like for me, like working out is like, it's a must. Like that's something that as I've grown up with. So it's like built into my
Did you play sports? What was that?
Yeah. So I played a lot of sports back in college and back in high school. So I grew up with that mindset of discipline of like working out, getting your mind and body right. So just prioritizing what's important for you in life and what makes you happy at the end of the day, you know, because we can do as much work as we can, but at the end of the day, it's like, is that actually making you happy? Is it what kind of emotions are you getting out of that work? So I think really coming back and seeing what puts you at like your safe space, your home, you know.
But so like, there's a lot of guys who are, I see both extremes. I see guys who like work 24/7 and they do really well in business. And then I see guys who are like super lazy and they just play all day and then they don't do well. But then it's rare to have a guy that has like a balance where you're working and playing and you're doing really well in business and like in the financial space. You know, like, why do you think, what are you doing differently from like these two like extremes that's allowing you to still expand and grow, but also have like all the time freedom that you do have?
Ooh, that's a good question. I would say like, as you go through the reps, as you go through each deal, you understand what gets you the deal versus what doesn't get you the deal. So it's really honing in on those activities, on those different tasks or whatever it is, those phone calls, and prioritizing that, like I said before, and understanding like, this is going to get me that, but that may not get me that.
That's so good. I mean, like what you said is gold right there. I think like prioritizing. So like when you're doing like as an investor, right? There's like 100 things you got to do. But there's like, it's like the, what's that? The law of the 20-80 rule. 80-20 rule. Do you remember what that thing's called?
It's like 20% of the things you do, it gets you the most.
It's like there's a law in the story. I can't remember what the name of it is, but it's basically like all the things you do throughout the day, there's a small portion, like 20% that actually gives you all the results, right? So like if you focus on that 20%, prioritize those things, now you're going to get all the same results or like 80% of the results of somebody who does all 100, but then like you're only doing that 20% of the time. So
it's like doing as much tasks as you can, but only moving the needle like an inch. But really finding those, really dialing down on those tasks, like, oh, I did that before, it got me like to where I am, to step Z. So it's like honing on to that, understanding what time of day works for you when doing those tasks as well. Because I'm
optimizing like when you're the most focused and you have the most energy and stuff.
Exactly,
So in the morning, is that like a good time for you when you?
I would say honestly, probably at night. As I grew up, like I said, playing games a lot at night, just not going to bed. But that's when I really dial down and really focus up on like.
You get like the second wind at night. Like, I mean, I'm the same way. Like I said, at 3 o'clock in the morning, and like I'm just like wide awake. And then
because like I said, I'm a night bird, so that's when I kind of get my tasks situated and like the most optimal, I feel.
It's also good because like there's less distractions. Like when you're at night, it's like during the day, there's like, I feel like you're talking to people on phone calls, but at night there's like that period where the world's kind of sleeping. And you can just kind of like just focus and do like deep work and stuff.
And I think it's the same thing reverse where like, people wake up earlier than usual at like 4 or 5 a.m. I think it's the same thing. It's just couple hours
Yeah,
before.
like you're here like late, like early morning or like super late night is like that. It's the same concept though, right? So,
Yeah, definitely.
so what do you think like those tasks are? Like if you had maybe like 3 tasks that are very important as like a Burr investor or rental property investor, what are like the 3 things that, like, that a guy needs to focus on?
That's a good question as well. I think for me, it's really systemizing and choosing what zip codes work with your
Okay.
goals.
So you're focusing in on like just a small subset of the area versus
Yes.
like let's look at all Kansas City or all of Hawaii. Let's look at like one small subset and really dive deep into this small
Yeah,
area.
no, exactly. And that's where my work from before has really put into place where I know if something's not in the zip code, like I'm not even gonna look at it.
Yeah.
So as I work put from before that researched these areas that I do want to invest at caters to my goals, like that streamlines the process in a
So it knocks off like 100, like
right.
50 properties right off the bat, and now you only have like these 10 that you need to kind of focus on.
Yeah, so it's really understanding what zip codes matches my goals and how I can look at it in a different way where I'm just not picking and choosing, but more focus on those zip codes that work for me.
I like it. So you focus on like one small area, which is like it's the time and energy you put. If you put the same into like the whole thing, it'll take you like 10 times as long to finish this whole area. But because you're in a small subset zip code, now you only have to analyze way less deals. Or like okay.
I think that and then also just like anything, putting out as much offers as you can that cater to your goals too. Because I probably put, just like anybody in the space, put out tons of offers a day.
How many do you think you put out every single day?
Every day, I want to say maybe like 8 to 10.
Okay.
And it could be either conditional offers or verbal offers, just to get out something out there. Because the more you put something out.
So this is like so good, and this is like people are gonna be like really like resonate with this because I think a lot of times people don't realize the volume of output is needed to be successful.
Right. Yeah.
And so like people, like I talked to like some people, they're like, oh, I was like, hey, you gotta put out some offers for like if you want to get some deals. And like, okay, how many did you put out this week? I was like, oh, three this week. I was like, bro, that's not gonna cut it. This dude over here is putting out 10 a day, right? So like, you're either putting out 70 a week or you're putting out 3. Who do you think is gonna get the deal first, right? It's like,
when my people would tell me that, it's like not thinking about like technical, analytical. Like yes, you gotta take analytical risks, but at the same time, just throw it out there. Like you're gonna be protected in the inspection. You're gonna be protected in whatever it is in the contract that that allows you to back out if something were to go wrong. So just throw it out there, see what it says. Like the worst they can say is no. So I think as more you put out to your team members, to your agents, then they're gonna circle back and one's gonna bite.
This is like another genius moment that like, I mean, like just to kind of like highlight is that like you're so like the strategy that you're using, you're optimizing like your effort because like you could say like, let's analyze and only put in when it makes super lot of sense and get the exact number right? But like, that's going to take you, let's say like 20 hours, but like, let's just like put it close enough and then spam the offers and then like deep analyze later. Now that takes you like 2 hours. So like if you got like I did this sound like 2 hours for the same amount of work as a guy does 20 hours, now like your output is way stronger. So it goes down to the things where like you can work a limited amount of hours, but still get a huge volume output out, right? So that's how you're able to like work so little and still have so much success and play video games on the side because you're so productive in those hours that you are working. Like, you know, so.
And I think overall, like growing up, I was a huge adrenaline junkie. So I have a huge like just send it mentality. Like just send it. I'll figure it out. Like whatever happens, like I'll figure it out.
I feel like that's like a lot of successful investors. They call it like ready, fire, aim, right? Where it's like, let's just get it going, let's get the thing started, and then like as problems arise, like, we'll solve them because we know we can figure it out, right? So it's a good mental like just like mindset to kind of be in as an investor.
Yeah, because I would say I'm a huge trial and error guy. Like just try it out, we'll see what happens. But if it goes bad, we'll figure it out.
So like if it is like a brand new guy who's just kind of getting started, which is you like 1 year ago, like talking to Wyatt 1 year ago, what kind of advice would you give to like a guy who just like they see what you've done within a year and like they want to duplicate your success? What words of advice would you give somebody like that?
I would definitely say like learning the terms, learning the vocabulary, understanding strategies, because when I was learning, in a sense, it was almost like a different language. And like different acronyms. That's
so intimidating, right? Like, real estate investing, acronyms are so intimidating.
Yeah, just being spit out there, spit out here. It's like, what are these guys talking about? So I think really dialing back, diving into the books, the podcasts, the YouTube, whatever the case may be, to understand the language, understand the vocabulary, then put yourself in a comfortable situation, go to these events and start like, networking, start having conversations with people. You may not have anything under your belt, but you can hold a conversation with them. You can understand the terms. You can understand what people are going through. And I think that really helps you like, okay, now I got this. Now let's just send it. Like, where's the deal kind of thing. So I think that's probably the best advice, is just really understanding that language and then forcing yourself in those uncomfortable situations and being put on the spot and being able to understand what, and hold these conversations with people that are doing it in the space.
Amazing. So, I mean, if somebody wants to reach out to you, like learn more about you or get some advice from Coach Wyatt, where can they do so?
Yeah, I mean, I'm on Instagram. My handle is just my first name, period, and my last name. I try to be active, but it's I don't know how you do it.
It's difficult, man.
It's crazy, man. The things you've grown, the things you've done is insane to see. And I'm watching from afar. But yeah, I'll say that. And then just I'm open book. A lot of my friends and family just reached out, and I try to be a help as much as possible to anyone. Because it's a welcoming space. I mean, we all want to see each other succeed. We all want to see each other thrive in the space. And I think it's just like that's a Hawaii vibe, just going together. And I really appreciate that.
I mean, it's I'm talking to investors in the mainland, like a lot of different like sub counties or cultures, they don't have the same, like, I think like the aloha spirit or whatever. Like all of us in Hawaii, we're friends, and there's not so much competition. We want to see each other succeed. We're rooting for each other. We give each other resources. It's like the Hawaii community has been like amazing for me as an investor, but also like as a participant to like just grow, help others grow, and also grow myself, you know?
And I love that aspect. Like sometimes, going to the mainland, maybe it's about business, but I like to take a step back and really start to think about what are our whys, like how can we help other people in the community? And I think that's what I like thrive off of, just how much people, what was that phrase?
Rising tide raises all ships.
Or something. The more hands you shake, the more money you make.
No, 100%.
So I think like just opportunity, presenting opportunity to other people and just welcoming in the space is all that I can thrive to be.
Awesome. We got to partner a deal later, man. So
that'd be cool. Yeah.
But thank you again for coming on the podcast. Super appreciate your time and super looking forward to your journey, which you're on a rocket ship up. So stay tuned, folks. We'll have a part 2 in like 2 years or so, or a year and a half.
Thank you for having me. This is awesome.
Awesome, man. Thanks, Wyatt.